So my name's Kathy Peterman and I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I am the author of the blog My Best Year, and it's all about a simple, intentional, and soulful life. And so I have a lot of different pieces within the blog. I went on a trip walking 500 miles through France and Spain about 2.5 years ago. And that somewhat started my journey in simplicity, just realizing I didn't need very much to sustain me for 2 whole months, just the things that I could carry on my back. For me, I think one of the hardest things about that walk was figuring out what to take with me. I'd never done any backpacking whatsoever, and so I had to get some gear for the trip, things that dry very quickly, that type of a thing. Good boots for walking 500 miles, obviously. And just trying to edit the list of what I would take. It was a challenge, but a good challenge, because it allowed me to look at what's important in my life and what I really need. And then I still brought too much, so I let go of things along the way. And even when I came back, I looked at what did I use from that, and I probably used about 80% of it, but there still was 20% that I never even touched during that walk. So it really is just an analogy of looking at all aspects of one's life and what's really important. And so that's part of why my blog includes the word both simple and intentional, because to me that's what it's about. It's not just trying to get to the least number of things, but rather to really have those things that bring us joy, that we love, that we use. So that's what simplicity is to me, an intentional life where I look at what's on my calendar, what's in my closet, how many dishes do I need, what brings me joy, and what's just stuff that's sitting there that I have to repair, maintain, clean, worry about, take care of, that kind of a thing. So one of the places where I had a big change in my life, I previously have been a nurse working in a large healthcare organization, and I went on a trip to India back in 2012 and ended up coming back and deciding to retire at the age of 55. And when you do that, you get less money, but I just kept thinking, but I'll have that money for 10 more years. And so that has allowed me to free up my time, which led to me starting to do the things that we all dream of doing when we have more free time, which for me included going through the things in my home and looking at what I was using and kind of getting rid of different things that I wasn't using. It ended up that I did that layer of decluttering once a year over the last 3 years. The first year I did by myself, and then I invited other people to join me. And originally it was looking at things that I could get rid of. And then later it was using Francine Jay's process of really like taking a space, like maybe the closet that's over here, and taking everything out of that closet and putting it out where I can look at it. And then from there to decide, what am I using, what am I keeping, what am I getting rid of. It's quite a different process than just looking at what can I get rid of. It's by laying it all out and looking at it, it really causes you to think about things. The other thing is the fact that I've done it now 3 years in a row, which is actually 4 different times because of the way that time has gone. When I look at something that I've looked at twice before and thought, no, I'm going to keep that, and then realize I'm not using it still, I've then had more layers of things that I've gotten rid of. And for me, it's just been nice to have a simpler life. Here again, it's gradual. I think minimalism really means different things to everybody. For me, it's been that I probably have about half of the things that I used to have. But once again, they're things that I wasn't using. I was just storing them and taking care of them. And areas that were really pretty intense with things were the kitchen and the bathroom. And so it's taken me about 4 times going through those areas to get them more to a place of the things that I really love and use. So the other thing that happened is by having less in my home, I ended up hearing about Airbnb and decided to become a host. And that actually then required me to take about 20 minutes to get the room ready because there wasn't much stuff in that room. And when people come into my home, they generally say, oh, it feels very peaceful here, very comfortable, and like they really like the feeling here. And I think the biggest thing that contributes to that is having more space and less stuff. Well, I may also become known as the queen of trash, perhaps, even though I never intended that. I think even just being part of the Portland scene, I've become much more aware of what happens with things. I took a class called Less is More about 3 years ago, and in that learned about what we can recycle, what we can't. I ended up reading Beth Terry's book Plastic Free, which really impacted me a lot. Just realizing, number one, how much plastic we have in our lives, and then really seeking to reduce my amount of plastic. So the very first year I took on the goal of having one trash can in the whole year, and I have a 20-gallon, the smallest trash can that we have in Portland. And I pretty easily did that. So the next year I decided to do a half a trash can, and I was able to succeed in that. So this year my goal is to have 2 gallons of trash. And how I do that is by looking at what's been in the trash before. I take pictures of it each month. I normally post it on Facebook. That sort of has helped other people become aware of the fact of, wow, how does she do that? And so I've just looked at what's in the trash and how could I get by without that. So I've focused solely on trash and then plastic. And so my goal is 2 gallons of trash in 2016 and one of those big blue IKEA bags of plastic or less on both of the goals. If it's less, that's fine. We'll see how I do with the trash goal. It's pretty aggressive. So yeah, it really requires when I'm buying bread or any kind of food. Most of the trash that I have comes from food because I don't tend to buy that many things. I also have started making some of my own personal care products. I don't make everything, like I do buy some deodorant that's pre-made, but I've been dabbling with some recipes and trying to recreate and do as good of a job as one of the local companies does here. So I took a course called A Simple Year in 2014, and in that I heard about the Minimalists who run the site theminimalist.com. And they were on a book tour here in Portland, and they covered 100 cities with their book Everything That Remains. So I got to meet them, and I was really looking forward to the group that they wanted to start here in Portland, and I kept waiting for it to get started. And when that wasn't happening, I ended up stepping up to be the leader for that group. So we meet here, and they also have groups in multiple other cities. We read books sometimes, we have speakers, people talk about their lifestyle and why they've made different choices. We're going to get together and make some personal care and cleaning products soon. Just whatever comes up as an idea. The group's pretty open to learning and sharing. It's nice just to know of other people that share the interest in minimalism. And people really range from those that just beginning, to hear about it, to those that maybe own everything they own would fit in a backpack, that have a super simple life. So it's fine to be any one of those stages. And if you're looking for more information about me, you'll find that at mybestyear.me. I've got a newsletter and other groups that I lead online, as well as my blog.